This is Living Power with Dan Hurst.
Some time ago, Marcia, my wife, was involved in a bad car accident. An oncoming car lost control, veered into her lane over here by Truman Medical there on Good Summit Road, and hit her, rolled her car over into the ditch. She was injured, the car was totaled, but the police referred to it as a no-fault accident. And obviously somebody was at fault, but the police chose not to attach blame. Our society has attached this no-fault term, this no-fault concept, to a lot of someone's at fault situations. We have no-fault accidents, we have no-fault divorces, we have no-fault insurance. But I want you to see something very, very important here. God offers no-fault recovery. God offers you no-fault recovery. God says that this is something that He wants to do for you. It's one of the greatest discoveries that you can ever make about your life. God is offering you freedom from your past. That's what He wants to do. He wants to set you free from your past. Of course, you're guilty of your sin. But God has even covered that. That's exactly why Jesus died on the cross, for your sin. You can't blame anybody else for Jesus' death. It was your fault. But God says He's willing to free you from the fault if you will receive His forgiveness on His terms. And His terms are that He takes control of your life. Well, sure, you say, but what about all the consequences and the circumstances that dog me because of my past? Whether you made some bad choices or somebody made some bad choices for you and you are the victim of that, there are consequences that you have to deal with in your life. What about those that continue to dog you day in and day out? I have a friend who was badly burned as a teenager. Still has a lot of scars from the incident. One day we got to talking about the scars, and I said, how do you feel about those scars? And my friend said, well, the scars bother other people more than me. The way I look at it, the scars are proof that I survived. The scars tell me that I'm not on fire anymore. Many of us have scar tissue from our past. Things that have happened in our lives that have produced scars in our lives. Emotional scars, maybe even some physical scars, social scars, financial scars. So many different scars in our lives. And the problem with so many of us is that we can't get past those scars. We know that those scars exist, and those scars remind us of that horrible time in our life. Maybe you're going through it right now. And we have trouble with the scars of our life. And the guilt just seems to continually beat us down and overwhelm us. It's like our past is something that owns us, or we still own. We can't let go of it. And that really is a very important point to understand. Does your past own you, or are you holding on and owning your past? You see, the only thing that's worth holding on to in life, the only thing that's worth holding on to and owning is something that has value. In other words, in a physical sense, it would be something like an investment or an antique, something that has value. In an emotional sense, it would include some memories, good memories preferably. But when you hold on to the bad things, or the difficult things, the things that were against you, you're saying that they're worth something. When you refuse to let go of the bad things in your life, you're saying, this is worth something. I'm going to hold on to this because it has value. Now, there are certainly some things that we need to hold on to because we need closure, or we seek justice, or for some reason beyond our control, the matter hasn't yet been settled. Certainly that happens. But I want to ask you a very important question. Realistically, what is your past worth? How much is your past worth? Is it worth holding on to? The Apostle Paul, who must have dealt with a lot of regret, since his job before he came to know the Lord was to persecute and even kill Christians, explained how he dealt with his past this way in Philippians 3, verses 13 and 14. Brothers, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. What Paul was saying was, I need to move on from the past. I need to somehow or other step beyond the past and move on. When we studied about Noah a few weeks ago, when Noah went through that great flood, and once the boat finally landed, once the ark finally landed, and Noah came out of the ark, the first thing he did was to build an altar. And on the altar, it was basically an altar of thanksgiving that God had brought him and his family through that. And then he did something very, very important that we need to note. And that is that he walked past the altar. He moved on beyond his past.